Friends, welcome to the Freedom Forge channel. Today we are going to touch on a topic that concerns the most mysterious, closed off, and perhaps the most vulnerable part of the male soul. We will talk about a phenomenon that happens behind the tightly closed doors of the male consciousness, in those quiet pre-dawn hours when social defenses drop, masks come off, and only the truth remains. Let's start. There exists a strange paradox. A man can be incredibly strong, independent, focused on his career, sports, and success. But inside him, a process occurs that he absolutely does not control. It starts as a whisper, as a small intrusive thought that appears on the periphery of his consciousness, like a glitch in his perfectly tuned operating system. It is a thought about one specific woman. I want you to understand these are not thoughts about the one he simply spends nights with for physical release, not about the one who is convenient and cooks a delicious dinner. Not about the one who fits his status perfectly to show off to friends or parents. We are talking about the woman whose image pursues him, even if he tries to erase it with the eraser of logic and common sense. The most amazing and frightening part for a man here is that he didn't choose this. They never wake up in the morning with a plan. Okay, today I'm going to become obsessed with this girl and lose my peace of mind. No, it happens to him just as inevitably as a sudden downpour on a sunny day or a cold. It is an external force that enters without an invitation. One look, one special tone of voice, one tiny moment of vulnerability, and his brain puts a bookmark on this page of his life. And no matter how hard he tries to turn the page, no matter how hard he tries to read another book, the book of his thoughts constantly, treacherously opens to exactly this spot. He tells his friends that everything is fine, that he is busy with work. But the truth is that when a man fixates on a woman, it feels as if she has occupied an empty room in his heart, thrown out the old furniture, moved her things in, and changed all the locks without giving him a duplicate key. But why? What is the real deep reason for this phenomenon? Why does one woman pass by without leaving a trace, while another becomes an obsession for years? I want you to watch this video to the end, because the answer will surprise you. The reason a man goes crazy over one woman is almost never related to her looks, dress size, or skills in the bedroom. It lies much, much deeper. It is connected to what she does to his ego, to his deep-seated fears, and to his hidden desires that he himself was afraid to acknowledge. And when you understand this mechanism, you will receive keys to the male consciousness that 99% of women do not have. Let's break this down in more detail to get to the core. Reason 1. The emotional echo effect. To understand a man, you need to imagine the environment in which he lives inside himself. His inner world often resembles a spacious but completely empty house with drawn curtains. Most of the time, there is a ringing silence. Nothing happens and all things lie strictly in their places. From childhood, men are taught not to make noise with emotions, to hide their feelings, and to maintain an unshakable appearance as if they have no nerves at all. They live in a state of a strict emotional diet, where feelings are something superfluous that only hinders decision and moving forward. He becomes so accustomed to this sterility that over time he begins to believe that he doesn't need warmth at all, and that cold functionality is his natural habitat. But when a woman appears in his life, let's call her Chloe, and does something that breaks this vacuum, an echo effect occurs. It doesn't have to be something grand like saving a life or an expensive gift. Chloe might simply look at him at the end of a hard workday and sincerely, without any ulterior motive, ask, "You look so tired. Can I make you some tea? Are you okay?" And look into his eyes as if she really truly cares. Not for show, not because she needs something, but just because. In that moment, she essentially turns on the light in this dark house. And her voice begins to sound inside, reflecting off the empty walls of his consciousness, filling the entire space. Echo again and again and again. The man is drawn to her not because of the tea and not because of the question. He is drawn to her because of how that question made him feel. In a world where something is constantly demanded of a man, results, money, decisions, strength, responsibility, a moment of pure, selfless care or deep understanding feels like the first sip of spring water after a week in the desert. He is so unaccustomed to this that his system experiences a pleasant shock, trying to realize that someone can simply take care of him. He cannot stop thinking about her, because she created a vibration where silence usually reigns. This emotional echo becomes the background sound of his life, a melody playing in his head. He drives to work, looks at the road, and suddenly remembers her voice. He sits at an important meeting and suddenly remembers that feeling of warmth she gave him. This is the first stage of obsession. He is intrigued not just by her, he is intrigued by the fact that she made him feel alive in a place he long considered merely a mechanism for work. He suddenly wants to return to this house again and again, because now there is a light burning there, and she is the one who lit it. Reason 2, she sees his mask and what's under it. Here is a deep, sometimes painful truth. Every modern man wears a heavy, impenetrable shell. Imagine Ethan. Ethan is a successful guy, the life of the party, a leader, the one who solves problems. The whole world sees his shiny facade. Colleagues see a professional, friends see a joker, parents see a pillar of support. Women often fall in love with exactly this facade because they want to be with a winner with a beautiful image. He is so used to playing this role in public that sometimes even he begins to forget where his stage persona ends and the living feeling human begins. But one woman, let's say, Sophie, possesses the rare gift of X-ray vision. She looks at him and sees not the shine of success, but the micro cracks in his defense. She sees the fatigue in the corners of his eyes when he stops smiling for a second. She sees that good guy inside who is afraid of not meeting expectations, afraid of making a mistake, and deadly tired of carrying this world on his shoulders. She notices that shadow of doubt that runs across his face exactly at the moment when everyone else is blinded by his confident smile. And the most important thing here is what happens next. Instead of being frightened by this weakness or turning away in search of a stronger hero, she accepts it. She looks at his vulnerability with tenderness, not judgment. When a woman sees a man without his mask, without his titles and salary, and does not judge him, a powerful chemical reaction of attachment occurs, which psychologists call radical acceptance. A man fixates on such a woman because she becomes the only witness to his true personality. This creates a powerful psychological addiction, because he starts thinking, if she leaves, who will know the real me? No one. I will remain absolutely alone in a crowd that applauds my mask but doesn't know my name. The fear of losing the only person who sees the essence, not the beautiful facade, forces him to hold on to her with his thoughts, even when they are not together. She becomes the keeper of his true self, his secret diary that cannot be lost under any circumstances. Reason 3, the unpredictability of sincerity. Matrix glitch. We live in a world of games. In a world of social media, filters, and manipulations, men are used to scripts. They know the rules of this game by heart. I text. She waits 3 hours to play hard to get. I buy dinner. She smiles. I pretend I don't care. She starts chasing me. It is boring. It is exhausting. It is predictable to the point of nausea. But the woman who becomes an obsession breaks this script. She does it with her most dangerous weapon, sincerity. She doesn't play. She doesn't wear masks. If she finds something funny, she laughs loudly, not afraid to look ridiculous. If she is sad, she says so directly. If she disagrees with him, she doesn't stay silent to be convenient or a good girl, but she also doesn't throw a tantrum. She simply, calmly speaks her truth. Imagine Michael, who is used to girls trying to please him, adapting to his opinion, hanging on his every word, and then he meets Olivia, who calmly, looking him in the eye, says, "You know, I don't like how you acted just now. That was arrogant." And she isn't angry. She isn't trying to humiliate him. She is simply stating a fact, like the weather. Michael experiences a program glitch. His brain wakes up from hibernation. What was that? Why isn't she trying to manipulate me? Why isn't she afraid of losing me? Why is she so real? Sincerity is a hook that catches deeply. A man cannot predict her reaction because she reacts not according to a template from women's magazines, but from the heart. And this unpredictability forces his brain to work at high RPMs, analyzing her every word, every gesture. He becomes obsessed with solving this mystery, not realizing that the mystery is simply the complete absence of lies and pretense. Reason 4, the memory loop internal cinema effect. When a man falls in love or becomes deeply obsessed, he turns into the director of his own movie. He takes moments spent with this woman and edits them into a film that he plays in his head non-stop on repeat. But here is what's interesting and what distinguishes male infatuation. He rarely chooses grand, pretentious scenes for this film. He doesn't remember the expensive restaurant, the fireworks, or the trip to a resort. He remembers micro moments that the woman might not have even noticed. The way the morning sun hit her messy hair when they were drinking cheap coffee from plastic cups. The way she scrunched her nose funnily when he made a bad joke. The way she put her cool hand on his neck in the car when they were stuck in traffic. The way her perfume smelled when she hugged him goodbye. Why these trifles? Why not something important? Because it is in them that true intimacy lies. A man replays these scenes. I call this the internal cinema effect, to re-experience that powerful release of dopamine and oxytocin he received in that moment. His brain craves a repetition of this chemistry. He becomes addicted to this internal movie screening. He can sit at a boring meeting, look at charts, but mentally he is in that moment when she fixed his shirt collar and smiled with the corners of her eyes. This memory loop amplifies her significance to the skies. With each repetition, the scene in his head becomes brighter, more ideal, warmer than it was in reality. In this edited film, there is no place for boredom or domestic disagreements, only a pure concentration of warmth that he misses so much. He escapes into this made-up world every time reality becomes too cold or demanding, making her image his personal source of energy. She turns into a symbol of absolute happiness, even if in reality they had problems and arguments. Reason 5. She is his safe haven grounding effect. The world is incredibly cruel to men. It is endless competition, constant responsibility, inflated expectations, chronic stress. A man is always in a state of struggle. Even if he is just sitting in an office, his nervous system is constantly scanning for threats. But the woman he cannot forget offers him something completely different. Peace, silence, rest. When he thinks of her, his pulse physically slows down. He feels a phantom sensation of peace spreading through his body. She is his mental refuge, his bunker. A man becomes obsessed with a woman who gives him the feeling of home. Not a physical place with a sofa and a TV, but an emotional state where he doesn't need to fight, prove, or achieve, where he can simply be. If you have ever noticed how a man gravitates toward a woman with whom he can simply be silent, sit next to, and not feel awkward, this is it. He is loyal not to her body. He is loyal to the peace she radiates, to that aura of serenity that surrounds her. He thinks of her when he feels bad, when he is broken, because his brain automatically seeks a cure for stress. And this cure is her image. She becomes his mental pill against the cruelty of the world. Next to her, he remembers that he is not just a function or a tool for achieving goals, but a living human being who vitally needs warmth. This discovery becomes a breath of oxygen for him, without which all other achievements lose their taste and meaning. And giving up this source of peace is incredibly difficult, practically impossible, because no one else gives him such a feeling of safety. Reason 6. The trap of unrealized potential. Phantom of the future. Often a man loses his head and peace, not from sweet memories of the past, but from a torturous hunger for a future that never happened. This is perhaps the cruelest and most sophisticated joke his own brain can play on him. The male psyche is evolutionarily tuned to complete cycles. We see a goal, we go towards it, we achieve it. If a relationship is cut short on the rise, when he just started feeling that this is it, with her I will move mountains, his brain goes into a critical error state. It is like a genius architectural blueprint of a skyscraper that remained gathering dust on the table because construction was suddenly frozen without explanation. He cannot accept that the foundation is already poured, but the house will never be built. He looks at her and sees not just an ex-girlfriend or an acquaintance. He sees an alternative timeline where he is the king and she is his queen, and together they are invincible. In this sweet hallucination, they understand each other without words, overcome any crises together, and build a life that gods would envy. He plays detailed scenarios in his head of their joint victories, deep dialogues, and travels that never happened in reality but seem more real to him now than his gray everyday life. He falls in love with this flawless picture of us that is destined not to come true. And the longer he plays this perfect movie in his imagination, the more expensive this ticket to a non-existent future becomes to him. He fights not with a real woman who has her flaws, whims, and bad days, but with an idealized ghost of a missed opportunity. For him, letting her go means single-handedly burning the only map leading to treasure and admitting that this grand potential will remain just a beautiful theory. This agonizing, itching sense of incompleteness eats him from the inside, forcing him to return to her again and again in the hope of finally writing that ending and proving to himself that he was not wrong in his calculations. Reason 7, she makes him better without pressure or blame. In every man's life, if he is lucky, he meets a woman who makes him want to straighten his back and square his shoulders. Not because she nags him from morning till night, find a new job, make money, why are you lying around? But because her belief in him is so quiet, calm, and unshakable that it becomes physically shameful for him to be mediocre. Imagine Jacob. He lived an ordinary life, was a bit lazy, went with the flow, settled for little. He met Emma. Emma simply admired his talent. Let's say he was good at architecture. Sincerely and without flattery. She looked at him like a genius, and Jacob suddenly wanted to become the man Emma sees in him when she looks with her shining eyes. He starts to grow. He starts to move. He takes on projects he was afraid to take before, and he connects this growth to her. She becomes his muse, his catalyst, his fuel. A man will never forget a woman next to whom he felt like Superman, capable of moving mountains. Even if they break up, he will remember that intoxicating feeling of power and omnipotence that she gave him simply by her presence. He misses not just her, he misses his own strength that she awakened. Reason 8, the great twist. It's not about her at all. And here we come to the most important part, to the finale, to the secret I promised at the beginning, which overturns the entire concept of love, to the true deep reason for male obsession about which family psychologists remain silent. The truth is, friends, that a man is not obsessed with the woman. He is obsessed with himself when he is with her. This may sound selfish or cynical, but listen carefully. This is not about narcissism. This is about self-perception and the search for wholeness. The woman who gets stuck in a man's head forever is the woman who opened a door in him to that secret room of his soul, the existence of which he might not have even known or had forgotten. She showed him that he can be gentle, and that doesn't make him weak. She showed him that he can be vulnerable and not die from it. She showed him that he is capable of deep love, of care, of poetry, of sacrifice, of nobility. He looks at himself next to her and thinks, "Damn, I like this guy. I like who I become when she is around. I am more alive. I am more real. I am kinder. I am happier." He is afraid of losing her because he is afraid of losing this version of himself. He is panic-stricken that if she leaves the door to that magical room will slam shut. The key will be lost, and he will again become a cynical, cold, closed robot, as he was before meeting her. He is afraid to return to his gray reality. He chases not her body, and not even her personality as such. He chases that light she ignites inside him. He wants to keep access to his best, brightest version. So here is the final truth. If a man cannot get a woman out of his head for months or years, it means she became a mirror for him. A unique, clean mirror in which he saw the reflection of his soul, beautiful, deep, and significant. She is not just a person. She is the key to his potential, to his feelings, to his aliveness. She is proof that he is not just a machine for making money. She didn't save him. She was simply present so qualitatively, so sincerely, and so deeply that he remembered what it is like to be human. And when a man remembers this feeling, he holds on to it with a death grip. Because deep down, every one of us wants to be alive. Therefore, if you are a woman watching this, know that your power is not in being a perfect doll from a picture. Your power is in being the one next to whom he feels alive, real, and accepted. And if you are a man who recognized himself in this description, who has the image of that very woman before his eyes right now, do not be afraid of this feeling. This is not a weakness. This is proof that your heart still works, that it is alive, and the woman who awakened it, she gave you a huge gift, even if you are not together right now. She showed you who you really are. And this knowledge will stay with you forever. This is the psychology of obsession. It is not about another person. It is always ultimately a return to oneself. If this deep dive into relationship psychology resonated with you, support this video with a like so we can bring this important truth to those who need it. And be sure to subscribe. Here we dissect the very essence of human nature and the hidden mechanisms of relationship psychology. Discoveries await you ahead that will change your view on relationships forever. Write in the comments, is this feeling familiar to you? I read your stories. See you in the next video.